Masterpiece Arms, and Brooke has a rifle that you just built that, right? Put together basically.
It's been built for me, buddy.
It was built for you. All right. We'll talk about that. These Masterpiece Arms rifles, folks. I just really continue. I can't say enough about them. This is a rifle that I ordered for myself. We have this. It's actually an invisible scope on here. We're not going to touch them. I'm going to attempt to get YouTube to not demonetize us on this video. You're not supposed to handle rifles, so we're going to talk about those. And if you have any questions on the, if you have any questions about any of the MPAs or any other long-range guns, or just questions in general when it comes to long range, definitely throw them up there, and we will continue to see. We'll continue to kind of address those as we go. This gun that I ordered for myself, it is currently, the barrel that's on here is a 6.5 PRC, 1 and 7.5 twist. I do have a 6.5 Creedmoor bolt and barrel right over there. You can change these barrels out in about 10-15 minutes. I'll be having a video on that very soon to show you how easy that process is. You get the quick change barrel kit, which, baby, when you get a chance, grab me that quick change barrel kit. And I was talking to Summer, not Brooke, but I do call him baby from time to time. Yeah, so, you know, it really does give you multiple calibers in one system. This is essentially almost like a medium action. It's just slightly a little bit longer than a short action. The magazines that this comes with is the Remington, the 300 Winchester short magazine. It has about 3.98 internal dimensions. So that's kind of what your limit of your coal is, your cartridge overall length. So plenty for the 6.5 PRC, but there again, we can change this barrel out, and now we have 6.5 Creedmoor as well. This is the barrel vise that it comes with, and then this is the Curtis Action wrench that it comes with as well, which I am pretty sure, I have to look at this, but I'm pretty sure this is essentially a Remington Action. I think it'll work in Remington Action as well, but I have to double check on that. But I've been super impressed with all of these rifles. We've probably sold close to 20 of these now in just the last, I don't know, 2 months. And we have a whole bunch more coming in. I'm really proud to represent Masterpiece Arms. I've also talked to Phil, the owner, many times, just asking him some general questions. He's always responsive, just a great guy. And I'm happy if we don't sell any other bolt action rifles. I just don't see the point. I did see somebody mention something about the Havoc, the Seekins Hit rifle, right? Yeah, you know, so Richie, I had one of those on order. I actually contacted them saying when they first were releasing that, and I basically ordered one, and it never came. They told me to be there in like 6 weeks, and that was like 10 weeks ago, probably, or at least like 8 weeks ago. So I don't know. We'll see that. I have looked at some of the reviews on the Hit, and they're not necessarily a hit. I've seen some bad reviews on those. So, you know, and the thing is, that rifle is, from what I remember, the MSRP. I don't know if somebody can throw up the MSRP on that, but it's right around $2,500. And that's what you get this rifle for. So, you know, definitely worth reviewing. I do want to get a review in on it. I hope I can get one in hand. I can go over the features of that. I always love to have a new rifle as summer. And
who doesn't?
Right. So hopefully I will be able to get that in hand, and we'll be able to do a full review on that. I would love to compare that. So that'll be interesting. Brooke, tell us about this rifle.
So this is a all-American build, I guess, is what it came down to. Got a stock from Graybow. Ryan McMillan branching out for his own company. I think this is the Ridgeback version. M-lock front and sides. Bottom metal is Magpul AICS. I guess it's AICS. I'm running Magpul on it just because they function really well. It's got the ambidextrous mag release. It's got the Timony Elite Hunter trigger in it. I got them on my work gun. I like the feel of that trigger, that big fat face on it. It's a Falcor 7 action. It's got some pretty cool features on there. The overpressure bleed off. It's got the fluted bolt. It comes with the scope leveling little wedge, similar to like spur mounts.
Sure.
So that made it really easy to mount that up. And then it's Helix 6 Precision's carbon fiber barrel, and actually John from Helix 6 built the whole rifle.
Nice.
So, and then I threw on a Arca rail from Henderson Precision, because I don't know what you'd do with a rifle without an Arca rail nowadays.
Yeah, man, folks, definitely. We carry the MDT ones, Arca rail, everything. It just makes life easy. I know the MDT are really good, and they have a really reasonable price point. You know, being able to throw one of those on, whether it's a traditional stock like this that has M-lock or even your ARs, it gives you a nice flat bottom. For an AR, it's really nice because it gives you that nice flat bottom for shooting off barricades and things like that. It just makes it easier. But on top of that, you now have a universal system so that you're not having to go back and forth between, you know, Arca or Picatinny bipods and other accessories. You can use the same accessories on this as your AR. Definitely check those out on our website. And, you know, I think that is a really cool and smart upgrade for your ARs without a doubt.
For any of your rifles, like,
Yeah,
I got it on 5.56, 308 AR-10s, my bolt gun at work, a 6.5 Creedmoor gas gun, slide on and off bipods. I got a couple different front bags that'll mount on it,
Yep.
and then definitely tripod, because nobody gets to shoot in the prone except for freaking data gathering.
sure. And I'll tell you that shooting off of a bag with that Arca rail is nice too. Again, nice flat surface, just stabilizes everything out a lot. We got some questions or comments up there. What did Alex say? Let's see. Alex said, "What's your thought on the Arcan Optic 5? Good deal for hunting occasion." Yeah, Alex, if you haven't seen that, definitely go. I spent like 4 or 5 days doing a review on that, or filming a review on that. I went into great depths. If you want the cliff notes of that, it's a great optic for the money. And there's no doubt about it. It's got some weird things going on with the parallax, but I think if you're just getting into long range shooting, I think it's a great entry level. I do think that $500 or $600 scope, whatever it is now, is as good as a lot of the scopes that we were paying, $2 and $3 grand for, 10 years ago. So there's almost nothing that you can't do with that scope that you couldn't do with, or there's nothing you can do with a really, $3,000 Nightforce that you couldn't do with that. Now, when we started getting out to distance, you start seeing a difference in optical clarity and things like that. But it's 90% of some of those scopes that are, several times more money. I did a comparison between that scope and the Attacker 5-25, which was a very, the specs on it are very similar. Right up against a $3,000 scope versus a $500 scope, and it held its own. So go check out that video if you haven't done so already. What else we got going on here?
Did you torture test that one at all?
I did. I dropped it off. I just dropped it a couple times off from 10 feet. I mean, it returned to 0. I didn't go crazy with it and destroy it or anything else. Yes, Richie, that is a spur mount on the Mpa. Babe, where are the Mpa mounts? I think there was one over by you, babe. I had one over there. Yeah, that is a spur mount. Spur mounts are great. I literally only bought this spur mount for the sake of testing the Arcan. That's fine. There's a whole box with. So we just got in some of the Mpa Ba mounts. I will say they're very similar in quality as, of course, can't see it right there. This is the Mpa Ba mount. I'm really impressed with the overall quality of this. These things are pretty slick. They also, I actually have ordered, you can actually get turret guards on these, as well as an additional Picatinny rail up top so that you can mount a laser rangefinder or other things like that. Extremely lightweight. Again, a lot of surface area, which is what you want, and why I bought this. So the whole idea behind this spur mount and why I bought this, again, just to test the Arcan, was I knew I was going to drop test them, and I wanted to make sure, give them the best chance to not slip within the mount itself when I drop them, so that return to zero was not affected by the mount, and it was strictly based on what internally was happening with the optic. So that's why I put these in there, that they have some of the most surface area that you can get. And, you know, it ended up being an expensive test because they're not cheap. They're $400 or $500. With these mounts, you're getting the same quality. You're getting a very similar product for almost half the price. And these are just really, really well made. I can't say enough about these. And what again, I love about these is the fact that just on the inside right here, we have, you know, it's 0 MOA. I know you can't see it from there, but we also have the torque specs inside there written right on the mount, which is always nice. And as well as the height, it's 1.25 on this particular mount. So MPA, you'll see those on our website. They're already on our website, aren't they, Ben? They are. Yeah.
It's at least half the weight.
Yeah, these are
for all that surface area.
Yeah, this is extremely lightweight, extremely durable, a lot less weight, and about half the price. Again, you're getting that MPA quality. So great mount right there. What distance is 1 to 6 good for? Well, what distance can you shoot, Matt? So like anything else, it comes down to the shooter. I mean, you know, what we would consider low power variable optic distance, you know, guys have been shooting that with iron sights. So it depends on your vision, depends on your fundamentals and things like that. Typically 1 to 6. Well, you know, Brooke, why don't you answer that? I'm tired of talking already.
Well, in our LVPO mid-range carbine course, we're getting guys on 5.56, 1.308 or 300 blackout in that class.
Yeah.
He even hit. We were out to 5 and change, I think, that day. And that's kind of where a lot of those guys found the limit, was that 500-yard mark, just because of vision and that magnification.
And the impacts of 5.56. It's really hard to start seeing, you know, 5.56 kind of runs out of oomph, if you will. You know, sometimes they were hitting, and even with a huge spotting scope, a 82 millimeter spotting scope, it was hard to see the impact. It just doesn't make much of an impact. Of course, now if you're shooting animals or something like that at distance. So really what it comes down to is probably a lot of caliber choice. On a 308, 1 to 6 is 1 to 6 or 1 to 8 is really good. I would say, Matt, I would highly recommend going ahead and getting a 1 to 8 or a 1 to 10. And make sure you're getting first focal point. I can't recommend first focal point enough because of the things that you can do with that reticle. The 1 to 8s aren't much more than the 1 to 6. And they're definitely, they're worth the few $100 upgrade or whatever that you're going to spend on that. So I like the 1 to 8. So that seems to be a really good, the happy medium with magnification, weight, and price. I like that 1 to 8.
That 1 to 6 should push them out there to their limits of ability, limits of visibility, and capability of the rifle itself. So I mean, you can shoot 400, like you said, with the red dot and open sight. It's easy. I mean, guys are shooting 1,000 yard with open sights on bench rest. So
awesome, Alex. Congratulations, buddy. Oh, you know what? There's something I want to address, Dean. I do, Dean. You know, I try to surround myself with good people. That's why I haven't let you come back up lately.
I was gonna invite him up.
No, Dean, we got to get you back up, man. If you can just come hang out at the house with us for a few days, love to have you up. And miss hanging out with you, buddy. We'll have some barbecue ready, Somerset, and you need to come out and hang out, bud. Oh, one thing I want to address, and Benny Ballistics shoots competitively at PRS. I think he'll agree, and feel free to speak up, you and Alex. If you guys go to our website, this is a question I've been getting a lot lately. If you go to our website and you look at the Masterpiece Arms PMR Pro 2, it is originally priced and designed to meet that entry, well, I won't even call it entry, but production class, right? So the cutoff for production class as far as a price point on a rifle is $2,500. This was specifically designed, the PMR Pro and the PMR Pro 2 were both specifically designed to meet that price point. And I have a lot of folks calling me up and saying, hey, Gary, you know, if I add a folding stock or we start adding even different Cerakote colors and options, you know, am I going to be pushed out of that production class? And the answer is yes, you will. The moment that you're going over that $2,500, you are out of that production class. But folks, don't think that going into production class or limiting your rifle to go into production class means you're going into necessarily the entry level class. My advice to you would be get the rifle that you want and then just go ahead and go into the open class or something like that. It is not less competitive in production class than it is in open class or any other class, because, you know, again, a lot of those top shooters are shooting for companies and they're shooting in those production classes. So get the rifle that you want. That way, if you find out PRS isn't the thing for you, or you don't have the resources, the times, and everything else to really commit to that, you end up with a rifle that you're really proud of, and you know it has the folding stock, it has the colors you want. You're not compromising in areas that aren't really going to make a difference at the end of the day. So I just want to kind of put that out there and kind of lay that mindset to rest a little bit. You're not shooting in production class with less capable people or less competitive or in a less competitive class. There's again, you know, the guys that are shooting in open class are also shooting in production class and every other class. So get the rifle that you want, get the features that you want, and you'll have a rifle that you are always proud of and not like constantly wish, man, I wish I had a folding stock in there. I wish it was this color. I wish this. I wish I'd, you know, whatever it is. Get the rifles that you want. Yeah, so just to clarify, we have confirmed that, for instance, if you buy this rifle, you're right. But for instance, if you buy this rifle, you add the $150 folding stock, technically, and depending on the match director, I've also heard that you're basically putting yourself out of production class. And again, so you're getting it from the manufacturer at a certain price point. It is taking you out. Now, if you buy this rifle and you add other things to it that cost more, that's one thing. But from everybody that I've talked to confirming that if you buy this from the manufacturer with a folding stock, you are now out of production class. What did Richie say? Next time you come here, you should teach some courses out this way. Would love to take some classes, but the 8-hour plus drive would be a killer. Yeah, Richie. So we're definitely set up to where we can do some mobile training and things like that. With that being said, it is difficult. It's definitely a challenge, logistical challenge for us. It's easier for you to bring yourself and your gun down to us than it is to bring, you know, all of our training equipment, all of our people and things like that. And the other thing too is just finding the ranges, you know, setting up courses mobile is definitely a challenge. And then also marketing those courses in that area and filling those courses are also definitely a challenge as well. So it might be 8 hours from me, but again, you know, we have people coming in from California, Colorado, everywhere else. You know, we can find you. We have lodging facilities that we work with. We can help you make it as easy as possible. We also have guns and gear that you can use here, so you don't have to bring anything. We have a lot of folks that are coming from New York, New Jersey, these communist states, and it's just easier for them to not have to travel with guns and ammunition. So, you know, it is what it is. Can you go over height over bore? Sure. So, you know, what he's talking about when it comes to height over bore is basically setting our scope up, and there is a slight difference on a trajectory, basically, when we, depending on how high that so we have our line of sight, our line of departure, and everything that else that goes into that. What I will say, without spending too much time on it, because again, it would definitely help to have some visual aids to talk more about this. Height over bore is one of the things that affect overall ballistics the least amount. I think it is good, especially if you're using some sort of software to be able to measure that height over bore. And the way that I always measure height over bore is I'm basically trying to figure out the center of my bore to the center of my optic. And the way that I just measure that is I basically grab a pair of calipers and I'm measuring basically right in the center of my windage knob down to the center of my actual bolt or chamber, essentially, right? So that's what we're trying to get. And so if you're using some sort of ballistic software, you can use some calipers, you can even use a measuring tape. That's how I typically measure that I get that measurement. You have anything to add to that?
Well, so I had a friend reach out to me to ask me some questions about shooting. He just mounted an LVPO, and he'd gotten bad data on how much that height over bore was.
Yeah.
He measured it somewhere else. It sounded like he measured the mount itself versus the actual height over bore. And just walking him through trying to find a perfect zero for the competition distances he was going to shoot, that change made a huge impact on his trajectory. Yeah. So we were trying to walk him in on, I think he was going to shoot out to 500 or 600 with an 11.5, and I'm like, hey, that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
But when we got the true numbers, we pushed him in somewhere. I think we ended up with 36 or 32. We just kept crunching numbers in there until we came up with the best arc that he wouldn't have to hold as much. But it comes down to that garbage in, garbage out kind of a philosophy when you're using ballistic software.
Yeah.
But definitely when he got the true numbers, it was better that he had an actual little bit higher for him on that one.
Yeah.
But that 11.5 drops off quick.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Again, folks, the other thing too is when we start asking our guns to do things that they're not really designed for, or optics, or any, again, what I was trying to explain, and this includes the shooter, by the way. We have a rifle system, and that system includes the shooter, the ammunition, the gun itself, and the optic, and probably about 3 other things, including, the variables are, hey, is that gun put together correctly? Have you went over and make sure that everything's torqued correctly? So all of those things, the most limiting, and the least accurate part of that determines the overall accuracy of the gun, and the least capable part of that. So like you said, if he's shooting an 11-inch, you said 11-inch barrel?
11.5, yep.
11.5-inch, that's a short barrel by any standard, right? So it's a CQB gun. So when you start trying to make those things perform in ways that they weren't intended to, or there's a lot better options, everything gets a lot more exaggerated and exacerbated as far as the limitations of that weapon system overall. All right.
See, Chris Hansen had a decent question.
Chris, where's that?
Yep, that one.
Yep.
He's asking about the bags.
LEBA, metal and polymer. The LEBA. I don't know what the LEBA is.
If it takes AICS mags, it should take both metal and polymer, though. If the bottom metal is AICS.
I'm sure it is. All their bolt action guns are AICS, so they should.
It might depend on your metal. Who makes your metal AICS mags, though? Because I can tell you, this one has no problem with actual AI mags, and the polymer one's from Magpul, and I don't think I have any.
Well, if it's
of that.
If it's an Mpa chassis gun, which I'm assuming it is, I'm trying to think of their different models. I don't know what the LE is. Anyways, if it's a AI Mpa chassis gun, obviously it's the Mpa chassis. So it will take both of those mags. Now, you're going to find that some guns just feed better with some guns. I can't get polymer mags to run.
Friction.
Yeah.
Usually.
So. And again, the other issue with that is that polymer, as you start to load those mags up, they do tend to flex a little bit, so they get fatter.
It's the BA competition LE version, I think.
Okay. Summer said she's looking at the website. It's the BA competition LE version. I haven't seen that one, so I'll check into that. But if it's basically a standard chassis, I'm assuming does it have the competition chassis?
Yes.
All right, so it's the same chassis as this one. Then yes, it will take both metal and polymer. I always try to push people toward the metal mags, folks. They just last longer. They tend to feed more reliably. We carry the MDT mags. I've had nothing but good luck with the MDT metal mags. The other mags that I have quite a bit of are the Accurate mag. Accurate mag is what the MPAs come with. I've never seen those mags have an issue feeding with MPA. But again, I have seen where those polymer mags, that's the only one I can really think of. I know I tried feeding mags so I tried using some polymer mags with the Savage Elite Precision, and I think it was just like one or two of the Magpul mags. There were some that it would work with and some that wouldn't. So again, when you start dealing with these different manufacturers, you're also talking about slightly different tolerances of how high that mag is going up. And of course, from mag to mag, you potentially could have, you know, hundredths of an inch or thousands of an inch difference as far as how well they seat. And there's definitely going to be some more variance when it comes to those polymer mags. It's just the nature of the beast with those. Also, you can, I will say for sure on the AR mags, I haven't ran so many of the polymer AICS mags I've seen this, but you will start to actually see where that bolt is actually starting to scrape away and shave off some of the top portion of those mag lips, those feed lips. So polymer mags, I tend to stay away from polymer
Heat,
mags.
cold, exposure, wear.
Yep.
Under pressure, in those conditions, all affected differently.
If you put any pressure on the mag, all those things can affect that. So, you know, it always goes back to kind of buy once, cry once. I know those polymer mags are very attractive because they are cheaper, but man, you know, your metal mags are going to last you forever. You're going to have the least amount of variance in them, and they're going to feed the best almost every single time.
Yeah, so our course is in the sand. It's out in West Texas.
Yeah.
And sand is like it's blowing all over. Sand didn't affect them. Like I've had mags the whole time I've been on the sniper section, and my metal mags have not failed me yet.
Yeah. Did you have any of the guys running like Magpul or polymer?
We do not run any polymer in our work guns. I mean, they'll fit, but we're issued 5s and 10s, and I've left them loaded in my ready bag, drug them through the sand for stocks, zero issues with those.
So, and Brooks talking about his work guns. He works for a federal agency. He was just, you just ran 2 different sniper courses?
No, we just finished teaching our basic one springtime.
Okay. So again, and how long was that course? And it was in the desert?
Yeah, that one's 4 weeks long. It's,
folks, go with metal mags when you can. It just makes more sense.
Yep.
What other questions or comments we got here?
I got one for you, and I pulled up the corresponding.
I see a case Mpa offers. Would love to see a comparison between your custom and the one they offer. It's $400. Well, I can tell you, baby, you can actually even pull this up and do a screen share on that side. So Summer's over there working the computers and all that good stuff over there. So the difference between this case, the MPA's case, and our case are the ones that we get made. So to clarify, we are a dealer for mycasebuilder.com. Folks, you can go on mycasebuilder.com and you can actually order the exact same case that we build. The difference between those, just on the face of it and talking to some of the folks up at MPA, is you're not getting that. Number one, you can only customize them so much. Number two, the foam density is basically that convoluted foam that you would normally get in, but it just has the nicer cutouts. And if that's good enough for you, that's fine. You know, it is what it is. So if you go down to one of those boxes down there, yeah, we're trying to figure out how to screen share. Select monitor, window, or screen. Yeah, just the NVIDIA, or try an entire screen. There you go. Do that. Allow. Now switch over. All right. So this is the case that we're talking about. This is a lower density foam. And if this is what you guys want, and I don't know what actual case that is.
I tried to look at it and see.
It looks similar to durability though in a Pelican, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't.
The difference is going to be the foam and the ability to customize it. That is a lower density foam. I can tell you from right here. But if that's all you want, then you're good to go. The other option too is, as long as we can get the case that you want, if it's cheaper, there's some cheaper brands out there, we can get different cases. Now, what you're getting from us, which ends up, if this size of case ends up being $200 more, is the ability to customize that completely. we do a lot of other things that I can tell aren't done in this case. For instance, that we just learned through experience. Right there, for one, I have a problem with this because now our gun is resting on our optic. Every case that we do is going to be flipped to that, so that our optic is up. The other thing is I basically cut out the entire area of the optic so that if you want to change optics or anything like that, there's room to do that. There's also room in our cases that I design to so that we can actually you can put your sunshade and things like that. But I do not want. Oh, another thing I don't like about this case right now is the wheels are muzzled down. So now we have that muzzle on a very, all the pressure of the gun is pointing down toward the wheels. Now, everything I just told you, you can go and design the case yourself. And if you're happy with that, that's fine. I don't charge you anything for the price that you get the case from me is the same price that you get from mycasebuilder.com. We just kind of put our own flair on it. I cut out grab areas where you can, basically like finger holes, but it's more than that. So anyways, there's that. We just spend a little bit more time customizing it. The foam density is different. The quality overall from that foam is different.
Do you want me to grab the masterpiece arms case we have and bring it over for you?
No, it's fine. No, people have seen it. But you can go back to StreamYard and get off this screen share though. I think just exit from, yeah, there you go. All right. So hopefully, I don't know if that answers your questions, but if you're happy with that case, then, get that case. That's perfectly fine. You can order that through us as well. We'd be happy to accommodate you with that. But I can tell you, again, I can get those cases wholesale for about the same price and get the other cases. Actually, for the other ones, the even wholesale, my case builder cases cost me more, but I would rather have my gun in that case. And again, the ability to customize it. Right now, I just designed 2 cases that will hold 1 rifle, 2 barrels, 2 bolts, bipods, with the gun folded, and everything is nice and neat and looks good and all that good stuff. So I'll do some more videos on those. Can you recommend a 1-8 for about 1K? The Trigicon, I think is actually, babe, what's the retail price on the Trigicon 1-8?
I don't know.
It's between 12 and 13, I think.
Yeah.
You can go to our website, check that out. So it's $200, $300 over what you're asking me for, but I would spend an extra money because when you're going under 1,000, you're reducing the quality. What is this weird hand coming in here? You're reducing the quality, and the main thing you're probably going to be giving up on is that first focal plane capability. I think first focal plane is really important with those.
If you're using a reticle to measure.
Well, and on top of that, just the ability to use that reticle as hold offs, but on top of that, most of those are designed when we go to 1 power, it is now a CQB reticle. So we have the small reticle, and I demonstrate that in some of the videos that I have. So you have the small reticle that basically looks like a EOTech reticle, basically almost like a red dot reticle. And then when you go out to a higher magnification to 8 power, now you have a full Christmas tree reticle. So again, now there's probably some companies out there that I'm not that familiar with that are producing a decent optic for whatever it is. But I can tell you, I've compared the Trigicon to several that I personally have got my hands on, and what you're looking at it for $800 or $900, I would definitely spend the extra money and go with that Trigicon. And durability is another issue too. It's just proven. The glass is really good.
I'd say optics are one of those things that you save the extra couple $100.
Yeah.
Kind of buy once, cry once, where you can put it on whatever you got.
Folks, I can't tell you how many clients I've had that talk with, and then they went with a cheaper optic. They end up selling that optic and going with the one that I recommended or a different one that's even cost more. You will never regret spending money on optics. You will regret going with that cheaper option more than I can tell you. So
especially as your skills, capability, and equipment increase,
yeah,
you're going to want it anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. What other questions we got? Just Went through a sniper course in Conroe, Texas. I think I'm going to go run an Arkin EP5 in Mills. I'm an MPA. What scope rings do you recommend?
You know, the MPA after touching it today.
Yeah, the MPA. This I believe the price point on this is like $250. And again, it's very similar in quality and construction as our that spur mount. That one-piece construction is always nice. It allows you to take that scope off, knowing that you're going to get it's much more reliable when it comes to return to zero. So it's hard not to recommend these. So
Does it have 2 cross bolts or more?
it has two cross bolts, but it also has kind of alignment bolts on the other side. So, yep. What else? Akuna Matata. Good to see you, buddy. We got your rifle ordered. Akuna Matata just picked up an MPA. Go to Richie Fuller Futrell. There we go. I didn't think about that. Yeah, absolutely. What did Rick Black say?
I was gonna say there's a lot of things you learn the hard way.
Yeah. And folks, that's, again, that's what I tried to do. I mean, I got all kinds of gear around here that I either got to test or tried to buy cheap or whatever it is, that it ends up not being used. But the stuff that I've spent money on that, that Summer had a heart attack when I bought it, it gets used and I don't have to replace it. And I one of the things that I constantly try to do, whether it's Arkin scopes or some of these other ones, is get my hands on that stuff, test it out, and that way I can say, hey, this is what I recommend. But anytime that I'm telling you folks I recommend one thing or another, that's not, number one, I'm not getting paid to do those things. You're always going to get, even if it's something that we carry, you're going to get an honest answer from us. We're constantly updating new brands. Because either I find something better or have found an issue or whatever it is. I just, we want to operate this business with integrity. We want to give you our opinions with integrity and be as objective as possible. And I also want to make sure that you're not making the same mistakes that I've made in the past. Rick says, we're just getting a long range shooting. I want a Savage Arms 110 Apex Predator 6.5 Creedmoor. Learned a lot from your videos. Great, Rick. That's what this is about, man. We'd love to have you out for a long range course. You'll get a lot out of that. What else we got? Yeah. So again, all I can tell you is what I've been told. We actually talked to some people that are affiliated with PRS, and I've talked to MPA directly. All I'm telling you is that they said that if we add on the folding stock from the manufacturer, which would be an additional $150 on top of the base price, that it would indeed. Now, again, what regional match directors and how hard they want to push those things, I think are subjective. So I'm just relaying the information that I've been told from the sources, I guess. So let's see. What's opinion on Vortex scopes? Vortex. Oh, let's go grab one.
You got your PST right there.
So we got the PST right there, and we have a client's scope right here.
You had an HD sitting around here earlier.
Yep, it's right here. So this is the Vortex. Let me make sure I get this right. 6-36 by 56. There it is. It is a beautiful piece of machinery, beautiful piece of glass. I've looked through this. I haven't looked through this one particularly. We'll probably be doing another comparison review between some of the higher end scopes, Nightforce, this one, and we got a Collis back there as well. I mean, all those scopes are great. Now, Vortex is one of the more unique companies out there, in that they carry really from a very cheap end all the way up to a very high end of scope and optic. And they make great products. I don't know if that quite answers your question, Nate, but here's the thing. Like at the end of the day, once you start getting up to that $2,500 mark on optics and things like that, the playing field starts getting leveled, and all you're doing is looking at features that are unique to one or the other that you potentially like. Hunter, there you go, buddy. This is actually, I believe this is Hunter's scope.
It is.
Yeah, there it is. Look at that.
You haven't even seen it yet.
Good thing you didn't see you drop it.
I know, yeah. I'm pretty sure that dent in it will buff out. I didn't drop your scope, Hunter. Don't worry. If I did, I'd have someone buy you a new one. Yeah, so all of these scopes are great, and they're getting better and better. Even some of the lower end scopes, they're able to get some of these costs down. Now, what I will say is, for instance, one of the, I guess the only downside to Vortex on their higher end scopes is that they are typically a lot heavier. I don't know, I have a scale over here, but I could show you what this one weighs versus like a Nightforce Attacker, for instance, which is this is a 36. So this would be more equivalent to the Attacker 7 to 35. Let me see what we got here. So let's put, I'm going to weigh this with a mount. So luckily I got a mount here. This is a lightweight mount. So we're at 3 pounds, 8 ounces. So 3.5 pounds. I don't know if you see that. Or you're just going to trust me. All right. It actually says 8 pounds, but Gary didn't show me the thing. And then,
Is that it?
Yeah, grab that attack over there. Oh, I forgot I'd taken that out. So let's just weigh it. Let's weigh it by itself. Let's weigh, I forgot I took that one out of the mount for a video I shot earlier. So just the optic is 2 pounds, 15.5 ounce. So basically 3 pounds. Let's just say 3 pounds. Whereas we got this one. This is the 5 to 25. So this isn't a perfect direct comparison. This is 2 pounds, 7 ounces. 2 pounds, 7.5. 2 pounds, basically, 8 ounces. We'll just say 8 ounces. But I can tell you, it feels a lot heavier. Now, I have to look up the 7 to 35 on the Nightforce. But again, these are very robust. I love the dials on these. I love a lot of the features on these. And honestly, at the end of the day, a half pound isn't going to make a huge difference between optic. If you're not humping this is not the scope that you're putting on a hunting rifle, right? That is not the scope that I'm putting on a hunting rifle. I'm going to go with one of the NX8s that are a lot lighter. You're coming down to a 30 millimeter tube. You're making a little bit of compromise, but for hunting, it's 10 times more than adequate than what you need. So, take that for what it's worth. Folks, I just shot a scope mounting myth video. I don't know if I talked about that earlier. If you go check out our YouTube videos, one of the I've deleted a lot of the comments. I wish I hadn't, because I was going to include them into the video. But there's a lot of bad information when it comes to scopes out there and what matters for mounting and things like that. Hopefully I covered that pretty in depth in this video. I'll be editing it tonight and releasing it tomorrow. But there's just a lot of bad information out there. Everything from whether or not the scope turrets are level or not. I definitively show the right answer to that. I talk about what's important. The other thing that comes up a lot is, do you level the reticle or the scope? It's the scope body itself. I talk about the importance of what matters with that and why, and the answer is they both matter. And I'll just do a
Just gonna ruin your video.
I'm gonna ruin the video. Look, if your reticle isn't level to the scope body, the answer is not freaking just level the reticle. The answer is get a new scope. Yeah. All right, because, and again, I go into why that's important, right? And it has to do with how your windage and elevation works. If you have a canted reticle and you just twist that whole body over, and now your windage and elevation aren't square to that reticle. Every time that you dial that, you're dialing elevation into windage and windage into elevation. So there's that. But the rest of the video, I won't do a I won't ruin it. What's your favorite drop-in trigger? We talking about for ARs, pistols, or long guns? And I guess I'll just cover all those. So my favorite drop-in trigger that I have in all my pistols are Apex. The Apex for Glocks, MMPs. I've seen some good. I don't have as much experience with the SIG ones, but Apex makes a really good trigger. It doesn't disable the safeties or drop safeties, which you see some of that. They're very consistent, very good. I think they're great. Also, I put straight triggers in all my guns. I've gotten to where I can't even stand a curved trigger anymore. I talk a lot about that in different videos, whether we're talking about for ARs, pistols, or competition long guns or anything else. So that's just that's a personal preference, but there's some good science behind that when we're talking about leverage. And a curved trigger is basically putting your finger or the tension point behind the axis when it moves. So with a straight trigger, you're basically on line, you got a little bit more leverage, so that essentially all things being equal, if you have the exact same triggers, one's curved, one's straight, that straight trigger is going to feel lighter than that curved trigger. It's just the reality of it. So you can have, you know, both set at 2.5 pounds, whatever it is, but that straight trigger is going to feel better. As far as AR's trigger tech, huge fan of trigger tech. Also a huge fan of trigger tech in these long guns. These used to have the option to come with a Timney trigger or the trigger tech. Now the only option is the trigger tech, either diamond or TT, depending on which model that you buy. That diamond, that's trigger tech diamond, is just to die for. And if I have Timney Elite Hunter, which you have right there. I also have one of those. If I sat, I don't know that I could even articulate the difference between the two, but I can tell you it's there. You can feel the difference between that Timney and the diamond, the trigger tech. But I just prefer the trigger tech, and that's one of the areas. So, for instance, folks, where we kind of course corrected, right? And how I'm always looking to upgrade what we're doing or the products that we carry or whatever else. One of the triggers we still carry, and they're great, but I tend to not recommend them as much, is the Elfman triggers, right? So the Elfman, I love Elfman, and they're amazing triggers. They have some of the least amount of creep over. They're great triggers, but they are very sensitive to how they're installed. So what we have had issues with, especially with clients that install themselves, when you drop those triggers in, they have set screws that go down and hit the floor plate of your of that trigger floor. And if those screws don't have pretty much the exact same amount of tension, there has been issues with those not resetting. I can tell you, when I first got and dropped one in and didn't pay a whole lot of attention to that, I was having issues with that. I called them, we talked about that. And after that, any trigger that I installed, I didn't see an issue with. But clients did have issues with those. So we have we have since switched.
What's in that bang?
Switched. It's good stuff. We have since switched to trigger tech. I haven't had any issues with them. They're definitely less sensitive to anything like that. So, you know, trigger tech is again, we've moved on. We found one issue with a product. It's a great product. It's just a little sensitive to how you install that. You know, and we're always looking to improve. Hopefully that answers your question. What else we got?
I can tell you on the Timney,
Yeah.
the reason they're in our work guns is, again, that sand.
Yeah.
Obviously, the old Remington ones had issues with sand.
Sure.
We were cleaning them more than once a week, like having to take the whole bolt action out and cleaning it out.
Yep.
Don't have that issue. We also have the reliability of a Timney
Nice.
in it.
Have you guys tried trigger techs?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
So
No, and that's a question that I don't have an answer to either. Like, you know, what's the difference between a trigger tech and a Timney in a sandy environment?
Yeah.
Don't know. Maybe that's a video or something that we could test out ourselves. Richie says, do you think a 223 trainer for precision shooting is a good investment? Thought about getting another barrel for my MPA, or just dry fire, or invest in reloading equipment? I think dry fire has a very limited capability, it's good, but without direct feedback, goes back to using something like the Mantis. We've had lots of clients that spend a lot of time in between courses dry fire and they come back shooting worse. So unless you have something that gives you direct feedback, like, I don't know, like a hole in a paper, you can get out there and dry fire a whole bunch and be doing it wrong, and you're just getting better
Bad
at doing
reps.
things wrong. You know, you're getting rid of good reps and replacing them with bad reps. So let's just address that. As far as the overall idea of using a 2-2-3 trainer, absolutely, it's a great idea. You can get out there and do grouping drills.
Even 22.
20 even
You can build them now exactly like your other rifles.
absolutely. You know, the 22 precision rifle competitions and things like that are highly competitive, and there's a lot of guys out there doing that. So anytime that you can get trigger time and work on those fundamentals, regardless of how you're doing that with direct feedback, whether we're talking about something like which, by the way, Mantis will go on these rifles, they'll go on a pistol, they'll go on any rifle, a shotgun, bow and arrow, spears, everything. So you can put those Mantis on just about everything, and they give you really good diagnostic and analytical feedback that you can take that both live fire and dry fire if you buy the correct one. The Mantis, I think it's the 10X, X10. Highly recommend those. I got a video on those as well. Make sure you go check that out. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. Or like Brooke said, even a 22, if you really want to get to where it's very affordable. But anytime that you can get out there with any gun and just sit there and do grouping drills, folks, it's huge. And then you start doing grouping drills from different shooting positions. You know, put yourself on a timer and do, you know, shoot yourself a little stage, even in 100 yards with 2-2-3, 22, 50 yards, whatever it is. Anytime that you're doing those things and seeing the results of that, what I will say is people try to skip what's one of the most important things, which is where we come in, and that is getting a foundation of fundamentals. Folks, I'm telling you, any money that you invest in a good training company, and you know, like us, where we focus on those fundamentals, it will pay so much dividends over the long run. Of number one, we're going to like for our long range course, we go over shooting fundamentals, but we go over so much more than that when it comes to setting your rifle up. We talk about that, how to clean that rifle, all these things, and what makes a good rifle, what makes a good scope, what makes, you know, all of that stuff of how to set you up for success, that pays off. But then knowing what right looks like, because
that's a big one.
yeah,
Back to dry fire, right? If you don't know what right looks like, you're just wasting reps or building bad reps. So to speak.
And you know, yeah, for a 2-day course, you're spending $700, but I'm telling you right now, between the knowledge that you get just from equipment wise, putting into use and figuring out, by the way, we have multiple rifles, we have multiple sets of bipods, we have multiple rear bags. The money that you save just in the equipment, figuring out which one of those you actually like, as opposed to buying a bunch of different things that come to find out you didn't like or don't work for that instance. And then on top of that, the fundamentals that we instill in you, and then you get out there and apply them, and then we're constantly over your shoulder, you know, critiquing, hey, that was good. Now adjust your body position. Let me show you this. Now, you know, do this. Make sure you're loading your bipods. All the things that we cover, folks, it will save you so much money in the long run that it's really unbelievable. And not only that, you're gonna have a lot of fun doing it. And so,
especially when you could start out with a loaner.
Yeah, yeah.
Coming to the class without a firearm. I mean, you had guys out of California, Florida fly in, shoot Montana, Ohio, fly in and borrow equipment.
Yeah.
And your clients, the family of alumni, are super friendly, and almost all of them, I won't say they're bragging about their equipment, but they'll allow you to shoot it so you can check it out. The mid-range, they were allowing each other to see the different reticles between MOA, BDC, MIL, how something functions. The guy with the bullpup, Bob, yep. With his bullpup, just seeing how everything, because you had Savages in a couple classes, and I think one class was a lot of Masterpiece arms and new guns, but that family effect of your clients that come to training, you're going to get to experiment everything.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we attract really good clients that are just great people, and you know, I'm really proud of that fact. And we just go out there, we're training, we're having a good time, we're cutting up, we're talking crap to each other. It's a lot of fun, folks. But again, the value that you get out of that, besides that entertainment or social value that you get out of it, just the hard value that you get out of learning the equipment, learning from our mistakes, learning from, you know, what Brooke and I have learned over 20 years, we're giving you in 2 days. It's such a jump forward. It's a shortcut to figuring out what equipment you like and what works for you. And there again, it also helps, you know, when we talk about principles or fundamentals, right? You know, from a physical standpoint, we understand that what works for Gary, a shooting position that works for Gary and my physical capabilities isn't necessarily going to work for everybody else, but we can apply the same principle and help you do those same things. So we're constantly tailoring that experience for you so that you can go home and you can work on, and you know what right looks like for you specifically. What you see most of the time in the firearms industry is you take guys that something works for them and they force that on somebody else.
This is the way.
This is the way, folks. That is, you know, everything from trigger position. We talk about that a lot, you know, where, you know, the NRA says, oh, we're supposed to put our trigger on this part of our finger. Well, that doesn't work, because guess what? That worked for one guy that put it in a book because his hands were shaped a certain way. Guess what? With a different gun, different size hands, all these things, guess what? The trigger position is going to change. And we are good at finding those little things like that make a big difference for you. But, you know, conversely to what Brooke brought up as far as people coming out and using our guns is, you know, I've literally had folks show up to our course where they spent, you know, $7,000-8,000 in gear. And by the end of our PowerPoint, just the classroom portion, they're like, man, you know, I bought the wrong scope. I bought the wrong gun. You know, I did everything wrong because, you know, they listened to some guy on YouTube, or they just bought what they thought looked cool, or whatever it is. We educate you to make sure that you're an educated buyer. And I can't stress training enough. And I know that's.
They all circle back to Richie. If you're going to set it up, if you're going to have 2 rifles, trying to set it up the same is probably going to be your best. Again, you're building the same reps on the same gun. So if you do that other second barrel action 223, that's probably the best way if you want to build reps for the bigger caliber.
Absolutely. Yep. Who makes the best AR-10 upper that fits arrow precision lower? Just got to lower before New York puts you on.
I'd say arrow.
Well, it depends on your arrow precision lower. Depends on what you're trying to do with that, right? Are you wanting a precision rifle out of that? We have an affiliation with F4 Defense. We're a dealer for them. Their AR-10 precision rifles. It's what you basically call God, I'm having a brain fart. Anyways, their AR-10s, you're getting close to the precision that you can get out of a bolt gun with those. If you want more information, let me know. They're not cheap, you know, but you know, you can get a really good AR-10 that works really well. So
is that one that's already pre-built, correct, from the factory you're talking?
But yeah, you can get upper.
Because my 6.5 Creedmoor gas gun is arrow, it's arrow 4N receivers. It's a T-box barrel, and the builder's out of Texas, Sergeant of Arms. That gas gun surprised. So once I learned how to shoot a gas gun precisely with the trigger, because instead of slamming it like I do on a regular gas gun, that thing's a tack driver.
So what I was trying to say, they have a what's called a small frame AR. So basically, the upper on that is the same size dimensionally as an AR-15, and what that does is it lowers the bore axis a little bit, so that when you're actually feeding those rounds, there's more to it than this. But basically, one of the things that it helps, and why AR-10s are not nearly as precise as a bolt gun, is because there's such a huge ramp, so we're actually causing some deformation on that bolt, on that bullet, on the projectile itself. Whereas the small frame ARs, one of the things that they do is they're more in line with the bore, so they feed better, they cause less deformation. But just like Brooke said, one of the reasons that you're never going to get the precision out of a bolt gun as you will a gas gun. There's lots of them, free floating barrel, and the fact that you really can't make a free floating barrel with a gas gun. But you have to learn to shoot those dramatically different. You're basically holding that gun in place You just got to be more aggressive with it. And
A lot of movement.
you know, with a bolt gun, you're trying to essentially lay on that gun and have the least amount of bodily influence on it as possible while you pull the trigger. With an AR-10, whether you realize it or not, that thing is already starting to recoil a little bit before that bullet exits, and you're essentially holding that gun in place and on target. You just got to be more aggressive with it, and it's just a different animal to shoot. If you shoot an AR-10 the way that you shoot a bolt gun, you'll never get the maximum amount of accuracy out of that gun. That's just the case.
I will say, once you master those fundamentals on a gas gun and go back to your bolt gun, your group's going to shrink quite a bit.
Yeah. You know how many guys I know that took what they thought was a really accurate SR-25 to sniper school and did not pass sniper school
I was going
because
to say, isn't that an oxymoron?
it is. It is. Or just a moron. Because, you know, guys are like, oh, I can shoot this as good as a bolt gun. Can you? Well, we'll see. And then you come back and not qualified. Whatever they have on set, John. Whatever they have on set. I posted a video. I was getting ready. We were shooting that TV show, and I got a big shiny forehead. I've actually been offered advertisement space for my forehead, but apparently they decided they need to throw some makeup on my forehead during that TV show. Of course, for everybody's enjoyment, I made sure I documented that. And yeah, so whatever they had on station, it seemed to work okay. What else we got? That assumes I'm not wearing makeup, Mr. Rojas. Copper fouling or constant cleaning. I'm not sure I quite understand the
How
subtle.
about consistency?
Yeah, so copper fouling versus constant cleaning. I'm just gonna make some inferences there. I'll let Brooke comment on his thoughts on that. Look, at the end of the day, I think generally we overclean our guns.
Yes. Definitely from the military time. Like,
Yep. I was
getting chewed out for turning your gun in.
Yeah.
It sweated on the way down from cleaning a rifle.
or even just long guns in general, right? Or precision
We
guns.
overcleaned ours in the beginning too.
You know, when I first became when I first got on the sniper team in the Army, we were probably cleaning our guns after every 30, 40, maybe 50 rounds. I typically don't clean my guns probably 150, 200 rounds, and then really probably can go longer than that. I definitely have had student guns that probably have 400 or 500 rounds through them and weren't clean and still shooting just fine. There's extreme limits, right? First of all, you need to know that if you first clean your gun, you probably need 5 to 10 fouling rounds to get that thing to shoot correctly. So there's that. So you need to foul that barrel up to some extent to get consistency. On the far side of that, there is obviously a point with any rifle that it's going to get so dirty that you're going to start seeing those groups open up. And like with any gun, that changes. You know, when you first get the gun, you might start seeing those groups open up a lot after 50 to 100 rounds. Then after a while, that may not be. You got to get to know your gun. And then, of course, as that gun ages and those lands are getting further and further away, all of those things affect. So you gotta. But I can tell you right now that if you're cleaning your gun more than every 100 rounds, you're probably wasting some, or less than every 100 rounds or so, you're probably wasting some time. You do need to pay attention to that copper fouling. I probably do a good copper cleaning probably every maybe 400 or 500 rounds. But again, if I start seeing my groups open up or some inconsistency there, the other thing that'll tell you some of that is having a good chrono. So seeing what kind of muzzle velocities that you're getting over time. But there again, that all, as that gun ages and you get more rounds through it, all those things are going to change too. So there's some inconsistency that's just inherent with a rifle. Anything to add to that?
No, when we first started shooting, we were cleaning every day we went out. Even in the school, we changed it goes back to as you lose consistency, then clean it. And I've heard that from a lot of outside instructors that we've talked with, reaching back to dudes that are in regiment and talking to those guys.
Yeah. And you know, I do think that I think gun manufacturing has gotten better too. I think, you know, that comes from an old school thing where there was really smart guys that collected that data that said, you know, hey, every 30, 40 rounds, their groups were opening up. So that's where that data comes from. I think that comes to the metallurgy that was back then, the machining processes back then. You know, I'm talking, you know, pre 1990, something like that, maybe even into the early 2000s, where the gun making process wasn't as good as now. And they've gotten a lot better. Machining techniques have gotten better. Barrel making has gotten better. The metallurgy with that has gotten better. The rounds have gotten better. Everything's gotten better. So they've diminished some of those inconsistencies quite a bit. Hopefully that answers that. What else?
Does F4 have that really? They have the slim down AR-10 lower receiver as well.
They do, yeah.
Even smaller than arrows, correct?
Yeah. So basically, their entire AR-10 is essentially the same dimensions as both the lower and the upper, same dimensions as an AR-15. The only thing that's different is the magazine well.
Similar to like, what is it? POF. Who's the other one that does one? Zev, I think, has one of those.
Probably, yeah. They're definitely not the only ones making the small frame AR-10. I'm not sure I understand filing. Is there any truth when new gun barrel that an initial zero should be clean, it punched before each shot for the box? So, no. Where that comes from, Nate, is again back in the day when they were making barrels. I think that there was a lot of machining marks in there where, you know, they're cleaning after, you know, when I first came, again, I went to sniper school in 2003. And the way that we were told to break in a barrel is you get a new barrel, you're shooting one round, you're cleaning it all to piss. Shoot another round for like 5-10 rounds. You do that one round at a time. And then you move up to 3 rounds or 5 rounds. And even then there was a lot of inconsistency on that. Essentially the idea was behind that is you're basically just through that barrel going through those lands and grooves, you're removing a lot of the inconsistencies and smoothing out those machine marks, right? Just the what's left over from machining. Small burrs, things like that. Even on production guns and things like that, that is almost a non-issue. And just about every, including the MPA, I only ask any gun manufacturer, especially if I'm getting ready to do a review or something like that, I ask them what their process is for barrel break-in. Not because I believe in barrel break-in, but some of them will try to say, hey, if there's an issue with the gun, you know, did you break in the barrel using these procedures? And if you didn't, then, you know, they'll essentially try to get out of any sort of warranty that they have. So that's why I asked that. Almost everyone that I've talked to in the last several years, gun manufacturers say, man, just get out there and shoot it.
Clean it as the groups open up.
Clean it as the groups open up. That's exactly what you hear. And of course, when you first get in a gun, there is a break-in period. What I will say is what I found is that if you are cleaning it, probably like when I first shoot a gun, I'll probably, you know, break in, if you will. I'll probably shoot 30 rounds through it and make sure that I do a good copper treatment on that. I'm getting rid of all the copper. When you first get a gun, it's going to copper foul a lot more. And what I have found is if I'm cleaning and going through that copper cleaning process, removing that copper fouling, it tends to foul less over time. And even that's a little bit iffy, right? But so probably 30, 40 rounds, I'm probably going to do a good cleaning on it. I've tell you, there's been many guns that continue to shoot really well that didn't do anything like that, including the day on the fence back there. I probably put like, I don't know, 150 rounds through that. And that is a cold hammer forged barrel. I will say I've noticed for sure that cold hammer forged barrels foul more than a button cut or some other type of actual cut barrel. So there's that. So there's a lot of stuff going on there, and a lot of vestiges from older processes that are being kind of thrown onto newer guns. Those don't apply. If it makes you feel good, it's not going to make the gun worse. If you want to clean it after every round or clean it after every 5 rounds, 10 rounds, knock yourself out. You're just wasting your time, more than likely. But if it makes you feel good, then, you know, do it. And some people enjoy cleaning their guns. Another thing that goes along with that is ring lapping, right? So ring lapping came from the idea, and if you guys don't know what it is, ring lapping back in the day, because machining wasn't very good, is that rings, your scope rings, weren't very concentric. You know, we didn't have the CNC technology and the CAD programs and the machining that we have today. So what you would do is you would actually have a ring lapping device. I think I have one somewhere around here, but you would tighten down those rings on that, and then you put a little bit of abrasive material on there, and then you basically you're essentially trying to make sure that the rings are concentric and are going to grip that scope evenly. Folks, if you ring lap today, those rings are more concentric than the device that you're trying to make them, and all you're going to do is wear low spots into that to where it won't grip that scope. So don't do any ring lapping. And there again, it comes back from old technology when it comes to CNC. Today, those rings are almost perfectly concentric. Again, I'm sure there's outliers, but that is a method from the past that doesn't apply today. Hey, thanks, Mike.
See John turning in his rifle after Operation Just Cause.
What's that?
He didn't even get a buy on that day.
Best day I had in the Corps was turning my rifle. But stock broke. Oxidized exterior, but the interior was surgically cleaned up. That's funny. What else?
I can relate.
Best can for a 7-inch. Well, Joe, there's a bunch of them out there, and I'll tell you right now, I am not the guy to talk to about 300 black. I don't have any of those guns. Don't have any of those for. First of all, what I do know for a fact is it's not that hard to make a 300 black that quiet. So I think most of the suppressors out there are going to do well. There's lots of good cans out there, lots of good brands, everything from dead air to rugged. You know, I tend to lean toward either one of two things. If I'm looking for a precision can, it's Thunder Beast Arms all the way. We're a dealer for them. If I'm looking at a can that's going on an all-purpose rifle, self-defense, range gun, whatever else I'm looking for, I care less about the weight, and I'm caring more about durability. And rugged is a great can. Dead air is a great can. Those, not only that, their warranties on those cans, I believe both of them are lifetime warranties, and almost all their cans are like belt fed rated or full auto rated. So that's usually what I'm going for, but I'm not the guy. I'm not a 300 black expert. I just don't have any of those guns, mainly because we're a training company, and I'm very concerned about if I have some guns that are 300 black, and we have all these loaner guns, and either a can of a magazine with 300 black gets mixed up, or a gun gets like, that's not something that I personally want to deal with. And I don't know, personally, I'm just not all that attracted to 300 black in general. And I know they're great and they're cool. It's just not my thing.
So I only own the one Thunder Beast, but I would say on Thunder Beast site, they tell you how short a barrel you can use.
Yeah.
How short a barrel it'll function with whichever caliber it's running. And I would assume the other ones do, but that Thunder Beast is awesome. So
yeah,
it does tell you how short you can go for the caliber you're running, and then if it's full auto rated or not.
Minimum. And I think most companies do that as well. So definitely pay attention to that. I think 300 black, almost all that I've seen are those minimum barrel lengths are pretty short. This is not a high pressure cartridge to begin with, so you can check that out, but I think it'd be pretty good. Betting on your chassis rifles. I don't really see the point in it. And most of the manufacturers I talk to, I've actually talked to Dan on the Fence about this specifically. I haven't talked to Masterpiece Arms. I'll talk to them. They don't bed their rifles for a reason, especially if you're going to a chassis rifle. Everything in there is aluminum. Everything is pressed up. Your barrel and everything is pressed up against a good bolt lug or barrel lug. I know some people out there still do that. It made sense back in the day when we were talking about fiberglass stocks and things like that, whether it was metal bedding, fiberglass bedding, it tightened everything up. It reduced play in your action. But I mean, as well as most of these things are machined and matched up, if your action screws and things like that are torqued to spec, I don't see why that would make sense to me. So, and I'm again, I'll talk to MPA and I'll talk to the owner of MPA and see what his thoughts on that are. I already kind of know what I think the answer is going to be, but I've been wrong before. 80. Also, 98.7% of all statistics are made up on the spot. What else we got?
So conversely, I've seen we go shoot at a farm down in Culpeper, and there's some good old boys that show up with wood stocks, like, I don't know, 26, 28-inch barrels, and they cold bore at like 1100, and they just kind of laugh.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's nothing special about their guns.
Yeah. No, I mean, so, you know, a good gun is a good gun, and there's definitely been good guns made in the past, and you know, they're making good guns now. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. And you know, another thing that I'm constantly talking to people about, I've heard this a lot lately, just because the availability of it, is 308. Folks, let's not forget that 308 is an amazing cartridge. You know, I know everybody's going to 6.5, and I'm just as guilty of it too. This one's 6.5 PRC. I got the 6.5 Creedmoor barrel over there for it. But 308 is still an amazing cartridge. It is the probably between that and 30-06, probably, you know, the premier do-it-all cartridge. So don't always go chasing the new stuff. Or like I just had a client, he bought a gun with 6.5 PRC barrel, and then just because of availability, he also bought a 308 barrel to go with that gun. And just remember, you know, 308 barrel, 6.5 PRC, you're probably going to get somewhere around 1,500 rounds out of that barrel. Sometimes less, sometimes maybe a little bit more. But at 308, you're going to get, you know, I've seen guns still shooting under 1 MOA that, you know, have 8,000 rounds of 308 through it. So there's still a lot of goodness left in 308. What else? And they're cheap. It's cheap right now. It's available, much more available than some of the other ones. Switched over to all 6.5, regretting it hard. Well, you know, Justin, I'm right there with you, man. We definitely, I only have a couple of 308 guns left. I got a stockpile of 308 over there, which, by the way, we got some good 308 ammo on the website if you guys are looking for that.
Really good prices.
And really good prices. Yeah, so nothing wrong with 308, and probably not a bad idea if you're buying a gun to go ahead and spend the extra few bucks. Look, if you're buying a 6.5 Creed barrel, and you want 308, just remember that's the same bolt. So all you're gonna do is spend an extra like 5 and change on an extra barrel. So with that extra barrel, you now have 2 guns essentially, right? And it takes you, you know, 10 minutes and $120 worth of tools to change out that barrel. So that is a good option. Now with 6.5 PRC, it is a different bolt than 6.5. So like for instance, with this gun, I had to buy a 6.5 bolt and a 6.5 barrel. I'm all about 6.5.
Have you done a comparison switching out barrels between the 6.5 and the 308 yet?
6.5, what do you mean?
Like switching out the barrel and then going and shooting it, how close?
No, I haven't. Well, this one's 6.5 PRC and 6,
right.
And I have the 6.5 barrel. I haven't taken this barrel off, haven't changed any barrels. I'm getting ready to do that and shoot a video on that to show.
It'd be interesting to see, because you could, again,
just leave it zeroed,
right,
0, 1, and then go shoot a group.
Yeah, look at your case roll and change that.
I think that's, or just shoot it on paper and see what the difference is on paper.
Yeah,
that's what really matters. Yeah, I don't doubt that. I mean, you're talking about a fairly significant larger hole. You know, there's not a huge. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, 6.5. The thing about 6.5 is that you're getting a better ballistic coefficient, and that's a better ballistic coefficient, I would imagine, pretty much through all mediums. And of course, it depends on what projectile that you're using, right? So, but it is a smaller, longer projectile, and smaller and longer works great for a ballistic coefficient, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's better for terminal ballistics. So those are the things that we need to always to understand when we're dealing with cartridges. Any other questions, gripes, or complaints about Summer or Brook?
Knew that one was coming.
It always comes. All right, let's look back through here. Go through some of these questions real quick.
Yeah.
Do y'all have 168 gold medal match?
I have ELD.
We have Hornady ELD. And Summer's looking right now to see what grain that is. I think it's 175.
178.
178 ELDs. I love, man, I again, Hornady, if you're listening, you need to sponsor us. Man, I out of the box, that ELD ammo, ELD, and the A tips, man, that's just such good
consistency
ammo.
on
So
the ELD.
consistency on the ELD. Whether you're talking about muzzle velocities, whether you're talking about group sizes, again, 147 grain ELD out of this rifle, not this rifle, but one just like it. 147 grain ELD, 65 Creedmoor. I shot .22 MOA, 5-round group. So, and I've seen those types of groups come out of that ammo every time. And until ammo got so expensive, I mean, there's just absolutely no reason to reload. Now there is a lot of reason. And by the way, any of you guys find reloading components for 6.5 PRC other than projectiles we can get, but between powder and primers, man, geez, let me know. Send it to me. Send it to me. Let's go through here. What is some of the best questions that we got? All right, I know what we're gonna do. All right, we're gonna give this away. Summer, bring me some paper. Bring me some paper and some pen or something. I'm gonna write this. All right, folks. Well, actually, I'll wait. All right. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give this away. All right. So I've written down a number.
Should have went this one.
What? What?
You know what that is? That's still the right number, but
I don't know what you're talking about.
okay.
I guess
No?
it's an inside joke. You gotta be smart for Brooks humor, and I'm not there yet. All right. So I just wrote down a number. Between 1 and 100, folks. Start throwing down your numbers, and whoever is closest or gets it, I'm going to send you that Viper PST for free, and you can go from there.
Sheriff Harmon was first with 7.
All right, we got Sheriff Harmon throwing down the number 7. Let's see, 24, 34, 99, 37. 78, 47, 14, 29. I feel like I'm doing a countdown.
What happens if 2 people get it?
I don't, we'll have to do a freaking dance off. Duh. What do you mean? 26. Kunamataz at 12. All right, right now it is, what time is it? 8:26. I got this fancy Apple Watch. I don't know how to operate. What's the time say on your thing over there, Ben?
8:26.
All right.
8:27.
8:27. At 8:28, we're going to cut it off. Then we're going to go through and just order me a Howa Carbon. Throw that up there. 308. Hell yeah. What Daryl Kramer said. Yep. Yeah, and it's just a matter of also finding what your particular rifle likes. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, we'll look right through the numbers and see who's got it.
Tell me when it ends, babe.
All right.
I need 3 more bangs. I'm out of this one.
Not there yet.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Can we guess one more time?
I guess we're done.
All right.
We're done.
All right, we're done. So the number was, besides, okay, I don't know what the scribble scrabble that Brooke wrote. I don't even know if you guys can see that. It's 47. That's all 2 people wrote 47.
Did you? I saw a 42 and then a 47.
Hold on to Dean. I think Dean Felitas wrote 47.
So we have Alex Duke and
Alex
Dean
Duke.
Felitas.
And Dean Felitas both wrote 47. All right, only you two. Only you two. We're going to do another number. Here, I'm going to write it big so that.
Only Alex and Dean.
Alex and Dean,
One guess.
you get one guess each. Throw down another number.
Between 1 and 100 again.
Between 1 and 100,000. No, 1 and 100.
Alex, what's your final number?
Alex, what's your final number? You can only write one number, Alex. What are you doing?
All right, Dean's got one.
All right, Alex. What's your final number? All right. Alex, I'm about to disqualify you just because I don't like your legalistic approach to life. Throw one more number down, Alex. What's your final number?
Dean's at 11. Oh my God.
Only Alex, and Alex only. Throw down the final number. Those, I'm just qualifying the other 1, 2, 3, 4. Those don't count. What you got, Alex?
Did he leave us?
I think Alex left. There we go.
Alex is dead.
All right, Alex, you got 20 seconds. Give me one final number. This is why I don't give giveaways.
You're gonna have to do a trivia question or something next time,
Trivia question.
or something we said earlier in the show.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll have to do that.
Oh my God. Okay, well. Okay, Alex put 70.
All right, so the number was 34.
So Dean-
34. Dean's closer, right?
Yep.
All right, Dean Flatus, I'm sending you this Viper PSD.
But you got to come get it.
Yeah, you have to come get it though. All right. Well, folks, if you guys don't have any other questions, comments, or anything else, we are going to call it a day. Look, we really appreciate you guys showing up. These are always fun for us. Again, we'll try to make these as consistent as possible. I know I've been traveling a lot and just haven't been able to do this. And again, so, you know, it is what it is. Also, make sure you guys check out our upcoming training schedule. We'd love to have you guys out. We'd love to meet you in person. Once we get you into the Paramount family, I have to look, Benny Ballistic. I need to see what brass I need to get. But I think large primers, large rifle, any good large rifle primer should be good. I need to see if they make 6.5 PRC brass with small rifle primer holes. I'll get back to you on that. I haven't done enough research on it. The components I've been looking for, I haven't been able to find. So, yeah, so make sure you go check out our upcoming schedule. If you guys have any questions, make sure you send us an email, whether it's talking about gear, guns, or anything else. We'll try to address those. Or a lot of times you can give us a call. Either Summer or I will answer. We can talk to you for a few minutes and address those directly. If you have any questions about the Npa rifles, feel free to hit us up, or any other rifles for that matter. And again, we really appreciate you guys coming out. Appreciate Brooke coming on, spending some time with us.
TAC Carbine 3 this next weekend.
TAC Carbine 3 this next weekend. If you guys aren't following us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, make sure you go check us out there. Also, True Social.
I was going to say, aren't you on a new platform?
Yeah, so I've been on True Social a little bit. Still trying to figure that whole thing out. We are on there. I don't even know what my freaking, I think it's just Paramount Tactical. But I do plan on putting as much content on there and try to build that up a little bit. I do like the platform. It's just a matter of figuring that stuff out. Got a lot of cool videos coming up. I got a whole list of videos I plan on shooting. If there's something that you'd like us to, any good suggestions are appreciated. But I do have probably like 30. Witchell, I love that you're still guessing the number. I love that.
Almost there.
Almost there. But again, make sure you guys follow us on the other platforms. Make sure you're checking out our folks, our YouTube channel. Folks, please comment, like, share. That helps us out on the YouTube algorithm. If you guys don't know, even when we follow the rules, they completely demonetize every video. There's a few exceptions, but they usually demonetize every video that we post. So when you like, comment, those little things, that they help the algorithm a lot, and it's appreciated. So yeah, man. Anyways, we're going to call today. You guys have a great weekend. Stay armed, stay ready, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you there, Mike.
See you, Mike.